Give a quick overview of how to adjust the blade irons and the fences on wooden hand planes. So I usually do this only with using a plane hammer, and this is a brass head with a wooden insert, and the wooden insert keeps from damaging the wood itself. I'm Norman Perillo, a furniture designer, maker at Perillo Design, and a woodworking educator, author at Wood Skills. So I'd like to give a quick overview of how to adjust the blade irons and the fences on wooden hand planes, primarily plow plates and the sash fillister that I've been describing, and this actually applies to all wooden planes, this technique. So I use a plane hammer to adjust, and the only real mechanical adjustment is typically the depth adjustment on the plow planes and the sash fillisters. That it's usually a brass bolt that raises or lowers the depth stop. So aside from that, that's really not set very often. The adjustments are the offset with the fence and the blade depth and adjustment. So I usually do this only with using a plane hammer, and this is a brass head with a wooden insert, and the wooden insert keeps from damaging the wood itself. And I use the brass against steel, since brass is softer than steel, so it doesn't damage any steel. It doesn't mushroom the steel, the ends of the steel. So I'll just give a demonstration of how I would set it. So I'll unset it. These are two wedges in the sash fillister that I've actually had to recreate when I restored this. So I'll just unset them. So I set the fence using the plane hammer. I've loosened the wedges. So you can dial it in and set it so it's parallel to the body of the plane. And you would tap here. This is why they have the brass ferrules on each of the corners, to keep from damaging the wood. So it's actually really designed so you can tap it like that. So I'm just getting this parallel now, and then I'll set the wedges. But I'm not going to set the wedges just yet. And the reason is I have to determine how wide a rabbet to create on this piece of wood. So this wood is similar to what I've been using to create the profiles. I've been discussing the sash components for a sash window, the rabbet at the back, and the molding and the profile in the front. So, and gradient orientation on this is in this direction, which is important. So I'll set this in here. And what I'll do is, for example, I want a rabbet that is maybe a little more than 1/4 inch. So I run a pencil mark along here. This is a very accurate way of doing it, using your finger as a reference along the edge. So I've got that. So I'll set my fence to that mark. And I do this just by strictly eyeballing the fence itself, so that needs to be. Now the interesting thing about the sash fillister is that it's opposed to a plow plane. On a plow plane, the further in the fence, the closer you are to the edge. And on a sash fillister, it's the opposite. The closer you are to the body of the plane, the wider the rabbet is, as opposed to on a plow plane where the groove or the rabbet at the edge becomes narrower. So I'm just determining where it is set to now, and I should raise this so I can see better. Well, it's almost there. It just needs to be. The fence is a little too close, so I need to just tap the fence. Well, once I've tapped the fence and I've determined that it's at the right setting, almost at the right setting, and I just check to see if it's parallel, and then I bring the wedges in. I can do it manually with your hands, but I just want to give you a demonstration of tapping the wedges in. So that locks the fence in pretty well. And the only other thing to adjust is the is the blade itself. Now the blade is adjusted now. I'll remove that adjustment and then we'll start from the beginning. So I normally tap it at the heel to release, and this works with inertia, by the way. So when you're tapping it, you're forcing the body of the plane, the inertia of the body of the plane forward, but the iron and the wedge remain, so that loosens it, and this should loosen it. So let's just see if that works. So I've loosened it, and it's inserted from the bottom, so it falls out. I'll reinsert the blade. Iron on these is SQ'd, so it's a little more complex to install. But once you had it roughly where you want it, just above the sole, you would reinsert the wedge. So I have the iron set just above the sole, and I've just set it, and I'll just give a demonstration of how to release it, or how to set it, how to retract it. So again, we tap it on the back and the heel, and that will, I'll hold it on the body itself actually, and that will retract it or loosen the wedge and the iron. So the wedge is loose and I can adjust it. So that also retracts the blade, and I'll give a demonstration of that. So I haven't really set it yet. The blade is just above the sole, so it's not going to cut at all now. And don't forget, we've already set the fence. Let's just check the fence again. Okay, the fence is set, and also we need to hold these hand planes vertically at all times, and with the fence against the stock. So the blade's retracted, so it shouldn't cut at all. Okay, and it doesn't cut, which is good. And that's how it's a good starting point. So now we advance it by either tapping it on the toe now on the opposite side. Okay, well, that doesn't always work. I'll tap it on the this iron has been shortened considerably. They normally protrude past the wedge, so you can actually work with it, but this has probably been sharpened a few times. Okay, so I had to do that. Let's just see, it's probably going to grab now. Yeah, that's what I thought. So now it's too deep. So now we could retract it using that technique. So it's starting to lighten up. That's still way too thick of a shaving. This is probably the thickness of the shaving they used when they're creating rabbits, just for expediency. It's faster to have a thicker shaving at that point, not too thick, but I prefer a thinner one even still. Okay, that's a very thin shaving now. It's good. So I'll just continue with that. So I press the fence against the workpiece and hold it vertically. A little bit too light now, so also important to remove the shavings when you're doing this so it doesn't clog up the mouth area of the plane. So just dialed it into where I like. And I'll just continue with this. If you do it right, you get these long continuous curls, and that's good because you can pull them out retract them, remove them from the mouth. So I'll just retract the blade just a little more. So I haven't really set a depth for the rabbit. I'm just giving a demonstration here, and how it lighten and make a lighter or heavier shaving. So I think that's good, and I'll just show you we've almost also reached the depth stop. So if I can at this point I would need to so it automatically stops at that point. Notice it stopped now, so it's reached the depth stop, the brass depth stop. So for example, that would be about close to 3/8 of an inch deep. Now if I want to have that even deeper, I can dial it in. Let's go this way, and it should start taking shavings again. Notice it starts taking shavings again. So that'll bring it down to the current setting. So again, ideally you want thicker shavings, this thickness when you're doing this, because they clear the mouth a little easier with this type of plow plane, sash philister type plane. We're just almost at where the depth stop. I've reset the depth stop. And so that's how it's done. We use a plane hammer to either retract the blade, wedge assembly, or advance it at the toe or at the heel to retract. Toe advances, or tap it on the top too. That works too on most hand planes. That advances it. And if that's failing all that, just advance the iron by tapping the iron itself. Now it's a little more difficult here. It's been shortened quite a bit over the years with continual grinding. So I need to be careful there. And after you've done the setting, just tap the wedge lightly to lock it in. And again, the other settings, the fence is done the same way. Loosen the wedge and play with the settings here, and then lock it in afterwards very lightly. Always light taps. That's the best way, so you don't mushroom the wood or the metal or the steel, and your plane will last much longer. This blade needs to be sharpened. I'm having a little bit of difficulty. So I'll show you the actual rabbit itself. That's the rabbit itself. That's the depth I've been working on. So if I need to measure this, I'll just get a ruler. Do I have oh, there's a ruler right there. So that, I think I said, so it's 5/16, just lower a quarter, and the depth is actually 7/16, deeper than I thought. But that's just it doesn't really need to be this deep. It could be half that for glazing, for applying a window pane, or anything else you need to do. So this could be used just to create rabbits really at the end, along with the fence, and if necessary. But a plow plane does the groove, so one of each is sufficient. That's it for how to set these. So please subscribe to my YouTube woodworking channel, where I share more of my woodworking techniques, my woodworking philosophy, my thoughts on woodworking, and all the challenges I've experienced. And I introduce some of the new forms of woodworking I've discovered. And also visit woodskills.com, where I have a good selection of my books, both in print and digital format, on woodworking, and all my online courses, and I also offer some woodworking plans. I have maintained a regular blog on what I've got going on in my workshop and in woodworking in general. So enjoy.